Yesterday was one of the most brutal attacks of the entire war. In fact, it was one of the top 10. Here is the largest attack, and then there's a second largest attack here, and then there's kind of a horse race between these few, but this would have been like maybe third or fourth place. Yesterday's attack. And so Ukraine's getting its revenge. And how's Ukraine getting its revenge? Well, there was a Mi-8 shot down by a FPV drone, a $500 FPV drone. And then you see a factory, an oil refinery, a electrical power substation. This is revenge Ukrainian style. It's not going after civilian populations like the Russians do. It's now Monday, September 29th. Thank you, my friends, for being here. If this is helpful to you, I do these videos every day. Please consider subscribing. A major fire has broken out near an oil depot in Fedosia. A huge column of black smoke is rising over the city. Reports of a possible strike are circulating. That black smoke doesn't just come from hitting the ground. It looks like an oil depot has been hit. We'll talk more about that tomorrow and see what the follow-up is. Okay, the big story. Russian Mi-28 attack helicopter was reportedly downed by Ukrainian FPV drones operated by the 59th Assault Brigade of Unmanned Systems, according to a post on Magyar's Telegram channel on September 29th. Turned out to be an Mi-8. Nonetheless, it was an FPV drone going after a $10 million helicopter. Okay, pilots from Ukraine's, it's a Russian Mi-8 helicopter. Pilots from Ukraine's 59th struck a Russian gunship, says Robert Magyar Brovdi. In air, it wasn't on the ground this time. It flew up to the helicopter and blew it up. Here, this is the actual, so you see this thing in the sky. That was the helicopter. Here is a close-up of the FPV drone going right up to it. It's incredible to watch. There's the helicopter just above here, right? And that FPV drone is going right into it, and it's no longer. And neither of them are any longer. That's incredible. Additional drone footage confirms the helicopter is, in fact, the Mi-8. The expression on the aging scoundrel's face hints that this was not the rendezvous he expected today. So you can see this guy in here seeing what's about to happen to him as the FPV drone's coming close to him. Okay, power outages in Belgorod following strikes on critical energy facilities. Price for Russia will be high, says Yermak. Again, they're going after Russia after what Russia just did yesterday, and it's revenge time. I mean, Zelensky promised so much yesterday. Overnight, there was Ukrainian forces striking a electronics plant in Bryansk as well. The plant produces key electrical connectors for over 1,500 Russian defense industry manufacturers. So that's a very good military hit. Here it is on the map. Here's Kyiv and Sumy here. It's just above in just the outskirts of Klininsky. Okay. Here, the factory produces connectors, wiring assemblies, Russian military equipment, including fighter jets, missiles, submarines, tanks, air defense systems, and drones. So that was another good strike. Then in Belgorod, the thermal power plant. Yeah. Now, the real interesting thing about the power plant being hit was this. There's speculation that Ukraine used HIMARS missiles to strike the Belgorod heat and power plant, 2 electrical substations in Russia across the border. If true, Ukraine needed to have, I think, received explicit permission for the strikes from the U.S. administration. Now, the U.S. has changed its tune. Well, Trump has changed his tune last week. Now, again, I understand the speculation. How long will it last? I'm right there with you. Watch his actions. But then yesterday, we saw J.D. Vance coming out talking about how Russia really needs to come to the table. Russia is being, obstinate. Russia is, right? We haven't seen that before. Is that a zag? It looks like. It's not a big one yet, but it's a zag. And so that would figure with this Ukraine receiving explicit permission from the strikes from the U.S. administration. Maybe there's something to that. Okay, what did the Russians do to Ukraine overnight? Not a lot. 32 attack drones. Well, they used up most of their inventory apparently last night or the night before last. 23 drones were struck down. 23 out of 32 is not a great ratio. 9 struck targets across 8 locations. I've seen this again and again. When there's a very small number, the proportion is very different. The proportion is worse when there's a small number very often. Okay. Richard Woodruff, he's been fighting in Ukraine or been involved in what's going on in Ukraine for some time. The resilience of Ukrainians. I honestly just don't know how they keep going mentally and physically. They're superhuman. When your allies could stop this and they could close the skies, but they don't. And yet Ukrainians don't hate them. They just keep fighting for them, for all of them. This was yesterday from the view from the window, watching whatever was being hit in Kyiv. Yeah, I mean, there's something there. This is a video from yesterday showing a Russian strike on a kindergarten in Kyiv. I'm not going to show the video, of course, for YouTube, but this is the pre. Now, here's a telephone pole. Nothing changes. I just scrolled this up so you can see the post of the video. Okay, so here is, see the telephone pole in the same spot, right? And the ball of flame engulfing a kindergarten. A kindergarten. So either they meant to do this, which is sick, or they're really not that good. But they keep saying that they really are that good. As a result of a nighttime attack in Russia. Nighttime Russian attack. A house of a pastor in Melitopol Christian church and volunteer chaplain was destroyed. After the missile strike, a fire broke out in the house, followed by an explosion. Chaplain rescued his children from under the rubble. Fortunately, everyone survived. For the family, this was already the second home. So again, are you striking this home of the chaplain and the pastor of the church, or are you just not that good? Yeah, which is it? Okay, Donetsk region, Russian forces hit the settlement with aerial bombs when firefighters arrived to fight the blaze. An FPV attack drone struck the fire truck. Like, this was intentional, to strike the fire truck of the rescuers that came by. This is what Russia does. Okay, this is a map of every civilian hit by drones in Kherson. Nearly 3,000 individual innocent people bombed in their homes and on the streets. Looks like the Blitz map of London in World War II. Right? When you're looking at these dots, killed is in purple, wounded is in red, and first responders are in blue. That's a map of Kherson. This is what the Russians are doing. Okay, here is day over day on the battlefield, 1,080. Remember, 1,000 is our baseline for getting to another 100,000 by the end of Russian casualties by the end of 2025. 7 tanks, 53 artillery systems, 111 vehicles and fuel tanks. If we look, casualties remain above the average, engagements are fewer, record high total equipment and drone losses, because it's looking at yesterday. Officer death batch, this is something interesting, plus 73. So 73, so they calculate this every so often. 6,972 officers have been killed. 3 lieutenant generals, 8 major generals, 946 other in these categories, senior officers, junior officers, that sort of thing. Okay. On the cross front, Russian invaders conducted 41 assaults. That's a little bit low, but reasonably correlated to the number, to about 1,000 casualties. Ukraine's GUR Defense Intelligence intercepted a communication of Russian commander ordering his soldier to execute 2 wounded Ukrainian prisoners of war. This is not the first time this has happened. I'm pretty sure it's not going to be the last time it's going to happen, but that's what it is. And so here it is. Here's the translation. I'm on the line. I've got 2 prisoners. Who've you got? Repeat. 2 prisoners, 2 blank prisoners, both wounded. That's a slang for Ukrainian. I'm not going to repeat. Shoot them, blanket. We just don't take prisoners. Dang it, shoot them. Get out quick. Shoot them, blanket. They've got weapons. They're unarmed. Or if they got no weapons, they're unarmed. I'm telling you, blank, shoot them. They'll blank shoot you. Blanking, shoot them. Like, this is what the commander is telling. Yeah, so and right there, that's war crime. Putin assigned a decree on the autumn draft running from October 1st to December 31st. During this period, Russian authorities plan to call up 135,000 additional people for compulsory military services. Russia promises not to send them to the front lines. I would be incredulous about that. I don't know that I would believe that if I was one of those Russians. Germany has delivered 3 Patriot air defense systems to Ukraine, and with Norway's support, plans to send 2 more by the end of 2025. Here's some night interception by the Russian Shahed, by Sting anti-Shahed drones developed by the Weldon Hornets. Here's some FPVs of the 3rd Army Corps intercepting and downing a swarm of 9 enemy Molonia strike drones carrying munitions. And this is some really impressive drone handling. If you can attack another drone in air, or a helicopter in air for that matter, like, it's pretty impressive. Okay, last little bit I'm going to leave you with after my shout out to Peter Copeland, an undergraduate YouTube member, which I just did. See how I worked that in. 84 years ago today, this is a pretty sad note. 84 years ago today, 29 to 30 September 1941, the Nazis executed more than 100,000 individuals, Jews, Roma, Ukrainians, other nationalities, at Babyn Yar in Kyiv, one of the most horrific symbols of the Holocaust and World War II in Nazi-occupied Ukraine. For decades, Soviet authorities silenced the truth, suppressing commemoration and erasing the Jewish dimension of this atrocity. Today, Ukrainians honor the victims of Babyn Yar and the millions murdered in the Holocaust, and reaffirm the words, "never again." And yet we're throwing around the words Nazi and fascist like those are actually what these people are. And when Putin is calling the Germans, they're Nazis, they're re-Nazifying. That's nothing like that. All right, my friends, tell me what you saw here, what you thought about what you saw today. I hope most of the news was encouraging, because Ukraine was punching back in a big way. Thank you for the time, the likes, the shares, and the subscribes, and thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.